This video is sponsored by the Second Stringers NBA podcast. Your one-stop podcast for all things NBA. You got Sean, you got Alan, the best hosts in the game. Come on by for a listen. The Second Stringers NBA podcast on Spotify, iTunes, SoundCloud, and everywhere else you get your podcasts. What is up, Switch Lock Double D League? This is your commissioner, Sean. You already know me. You already know who it is. We got the weekly recap, week 13, and it is my pleasure as your commissioner to be doing this video to really wrap up the regular season here. Man, this is going to be a good one. We have some crazy matchups going in, some scenarios to run through. It's going to be a wild race this Sunday. I expect the best participation out of everybody this upcoming Sunday. You know what, Galvez isn't even in it anymore, but I want, Galvez, if you are watching this, I just want to see one comment from you in the group me, just so I know that you are alive. That would be very appreciated. But anyway, let's dive into the matchups. We got some graphics up right here we'll get for you. First matchup, me versus David. Must win for me if I want to stay in this playoff race, and I take the win pretty handily with Deshaun Watson putting up some stellar performance for me on Monday night, 98.4 to 79.3. Keeps me in that playoff hunt, improved to a 7-5 record, and I hold my title for the most points in the league so far, with Chris very close behind. So that's going to be a good one to watch going into next week. Going into the next matchup, Chris versus Adam. And you know, Chris, man, he is on a tear right now. We have him on a 7-game winning streak right now, taking down Adam, who put up a respectable 108, but Chris is 130.5, taking him down. Jordan Howard was really Chris's only bad play. Everyone else just lit up the scoreboard. You know, Adam, he's been pretty hot too ever since that slow start. I mean, man, he looked like he was in contention for last, but look at him now. He's almost has the most points in the league. Just a little too late. Probably not going to catch up to me and Chris, but he's still in the race at 6-6, while Chris improves to 8-4. Adam really missing Kareem Hunt over there on his side, and maybe wouldn't have made the difference in the matchup, but hey, that's the way it goes, man. Next up, Sworn versus Tyler, and this was a big one because Tyler, man, if he improved to 8-4, he would be looking really good, but Sworn taking him down after doing that ridiculous trade for Melvin Gordon. Well, maybe not as ridiculous anymore with that MCL sprain that Gordon sustained, but hey, we'll see how that plays out. Sworn taking this win, 121.4 to 107.3, bringing both of them to 7-5. So you got a three-way tie at 7-5 with me, Sworn, and Tyler. Sworn had great performances overall, and Tyler, you played pretty well, man. I have to admit, for as much shit as I give you, you really came through. To end the season, you're scoring high, but sometimes you can't really control your matchups. A good pick up there with Gus Edwards. I think he could be a really good keeper potentially. But yeah, not having any Tyreek, no Patrick Mahomes magic there. That's going to hurt a little bit, but you get them both back for this final week, which is when it's the most important, so go out there and get it. Moving on, we got Zach versus Tom. Pretty pedestrian matchup, 104.5 to 91.4. Zach takes the win, bringing both of them to 6-6. Zach proving that the trades he made actually are paying off. I mean, I think a lot of people were really questioning that Melvin Gordon trade, and sure enough, here he is, and all his players played pretty well. I mean, Mark Ingram kind of put up a whatever game, but yeah, great production from his new players. Tom, for some reason, decided that Matt Stafford going against the best defense in the league was better than Tom Brady against the New York Jets. And that is exactly what cost him the matchup there. If he had just put in Brady over Matt Stafford, I don't really know what you're doing, Tom. I don't even know if you were paying attention last week. That was probably it. You would have won the matchup. You didn't make that video. That's bad karma for you. So you're going to have to claw your way out of this one if you want a playoff spot next week. Let's see, moving on to Carter and Galvez, and probably the saddest matchup of the week. 80.3 for Carter, 54.1 for Galvez, and that effectively eliminates Galvez from playoff contention, and puts Carter firmly in the playoffs and clinches a first-round bye. That's pretty impressive, and Carter even had some bye week players, but that didn't matter when Galvez doesn't have Gurley, and he has two quarterbacks on his roster that don't score more than 10 points. So yeah, that's the way that one goes. Nick versus Devin. Nick proved that he was indeed the destroyer of Devin's, 108.6 to 81.4 in a pretty convincing win there. And Nick, you've been sliding for a little bit. Now you're back to 6-6. You eliminated Devin from playoff contention. Man, if he had played Amari Cooper over that injured AJ Green, things would have been different. Maybe he'd still be in the hunt right now, but as it stands, it's a three-way race between Nick, Tom, and Zach to see who gets those two playoff spots behind Carter. So yeah, that's all the matchups from last week. Let's dive into these scenarios, and there's a lot of different scenarios, and some of them are pretty complicated. So I'll just have some list here, and hopefully you guys can just read that while I'm blabbering about a bunch of nonsense. But just for starters, both the Davids and Devin are just completely eliminated. You guys have no chance at all. Sorry, not sorry. Moving on to Carter, he's got a first round bye clinched in his division at that 8-4 record, with the other three teams at 6-6, so they don't have any chance to catch him. Moving on to Nick. I'm going through this division first because they don't matter as much. They're not as important as the other division, which has all the good teams in it. Nick, you clinch with a win or a Tom loss. It's pretty simple. It might seem a little more complicated when you first look at it, but that's really all it comes down to. Tom, you clinch with a win or Zach loses as long as you're not outscored by Zach by like 70 points or something like that. So if you win, you're in, and if not, and Zach loses, you're probably still in. Zach, you clinch with a win, or Tom loses, but you still have to outscore him by like 70 points. So like the same thing I was saying before. You basically have to win. Moving into the Kelly Bean division, this is where things get really interesting. So we have a four-way battle for these two spots here, with me, Swarnji, and Tyler at 7-5, and Adam at 6-6. Well, first off, with Chris, you clinched a playoff spot. You're in. So Sworn and I play each other, and even if Sworn won and I lost, Swornji would have to and you lost, Swornji would have to outscore you by like 1 billion points. So I'm not even gonna consider that. So Chris, you're basically in. So congratulations. I'm not sure if you knew that already. You probably did, but the big thing for you is clinching a first round bye. So you can clinch a first round bye with a win or a loss by me and Tyler, or a win by me and or Tyler, but you outscore me by 0.4 and you don't get outscored by 23 by Tyler, if that makes sense. You can just read it over here if that none of my words meant anything to you. For me, I can get a first round bye if Chris loses and I win, and basically outscore him because we have pretty much the same exact point total. And I can also get it if I win and Chris loses and Tyler wins, but I don't get outscored by 23.4 points by Tyler. And alternatively, I just clinch the playoffs with a win, or Tyler loses and I don't outscore him by 23, or he doesn't outscore me by 23.4 in his loss. For Tyler, you can get a first round bye too if you win and me and Chris lose and you outscore Chris by 23 points, or you win, Chris loses and I win, but you outscore Chris by 23 points. I wrote this all down and it made a lot of sense, but when I say it, it doesn't even make any sense anymore. Whatever, I'm just gonna keep rolling with it. Yeah, you clinch the playoffs with a win, or if I lose, but you outscore me by 23.4, and that clinches it for you. Swarnji, you cannot get a first round bye, but you can clinch the playoffs with a win, and it's as simple as that for you. For Adam, you can clinch the playoffs with a win, and Tyler loses, and you outscore him by 16.9, or I lose and you outscore you outscore me by 40.2, or Swarnji loses and you win. If that makes sense. So yeah, there's a lot of weird things that play going on this week, and it's gonna be a bloodbath, and I'm really looking forward to it. Yeah, guys. This is your commissioner. Peace out. Have a great week.